Yields and clouds. Anything? What's up, my fine folks? We're back! We did it. When I say we, I mean I clicked the button and it went live. Um, Quick little announcement for you fine folks that just letting you know, I have a training dropping in the group. I think I'm going to do it tomorrow about how we're getting 10-cent buyer leads on YouTube. I actually went to post it already and then realized I posted the wrong video and couldn't find where I put the actual recording on my computer. So I'm just going to re-record it. It'll take me 20, 30 minutes. And we'll get the grandparents here today. But I'm going to post that for you guys uh, most likely tomorrow and show you how we're getting a whole bunch of cheap buyers traffic. This is today in competitive niches in 2022 going on 2023. And if you understand this, you can make this work in organic platforms. You can do it with paid ads. We're using it with YouTube, but it also works on Facebook. It works on Twitter. It works on LinkedIn. It works on Pinterest. It's just a really smart way of doing things. So I'm going to show you guys that. Super excited to share that with you. So keep an eye for that. I don't have much else in terms of announcement this week. So let's get into the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Fihn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. All right, fine folks, let's get into the good stuff. I think we got a short little roster of questions today, but always happy if you guys jump in with some more here. Cole says, plugging leaky buckets sounds like a pretty cool add-on offer for those already spending money on ads and shit. Could you please expand on how to position yourself as the dude/dudette who does this on the next Q&A, Frankie? My man, my tag team partner. I most definitely can. I'll tell you, I'm going to use a fantasy football analogy to help you understand this. But I'll say the biggest leaky bucket, like 99 out of 100 businesses have, is actually their customer list, not anything they're doing with paid ads and stuff. Having said that, there are plenty of leaky buckets on the way. So I don't know if any of you guys have played fantasy football, but I'm going to give you this the answer to this question as you asked it. I used to have some buddies, and we put $100, and the winner will take 1,000. Yes, there will be a recording in that. So the winner puts up, the winner makes like $1,000. 10 buddies all enter into fantasy football, and there's a thing in fantasy football called the goal line running back. It's a thing in real football, but you notice it more in fantasy football. So for those of you guys who aren't American football watchers or players, the field is 100 yards, and the team's goal is to go all the way down the field. And often what happens on some teams is there's a guy who's the normal every down running back, so he runs the ball and he moves the chains forwards, and he'll help them gain 50, 60, 70, 80 yards. And then there's what's called a goal line running back. And the goal line running back, his job is, and he's usually a big, hulking, kind of muscly, strong dude. His goal is to run at the last few yards to, run over people and just finish the job that was started. And so the goal line running back, if you play fantasy football, he gets 6 points for scoring a touchdown, and the other players get 10 points, or 1 point for every 10 yards. So what happens is there's a guy who brings the ball half of the field and gets 5 points, and then there's a guy who brings it 1 yard and gets 6 points. And the reason, though, that happens, this phenomenon is a thing, is because the most valuable 1 yard on the field is the last yard, or the most valuable 3 yards or 5 yards is the last 5 yards, because it doesn't mean anything if you don't score points. So this is my way of saying that if you're looking to plug leaky buckets for businesses, there's almost 5, 10, sometimes even 15 leverage points in their sales process. But the easiest ones to help them optimize for are looking for the ones that are the closest to the goal line. So to give you an example of this, in my niche in personal injury, for them to close a client, they have to have usually a face-to-face meeting. Now, because most times they get paid after the sale, they're actually very good at closing the face-to-face. That's not always true of local businesses, but it is in my case. So the first lever I would look at to optimize is what are you doing when the actual face-to-face sales opportunities, and what happens when you miss? Because sometimes just following up with the ones you miss. And then the next thing is I look at, are there people who scheduled a sales meeting and didn't show up for it, right? Could we run some kind of leaky bucket fix to get those people back? And then I look at what's the step before that, right? Like they have to have a phone call. And usually, like if you ever worked with local businesses, you know they're horrendously bad at answering the phone as a general rule. And so they often don't answer the phone on time. They're not quick enough. They can't answer basic questions. They don't know how to close people after hours. Sometimes there's nobody answering the phone. So those are more leaky buckets. There's actually a an agency in my space called why am I forgetting the name? Alert Communications. And all they do is they help lawyers answer the phone after hours. So like from 9 to 5, they answer their own phone, but from 5:01 till the next morning, they still get people calling them. And so there's a leaky bucket, for example, that they help them fix. This is like a probably a $300 million agency, and all they do is they have virtual assistants who answer the phone after hours, take the person's contact info, send it to the lawyer so they can call them back first thing in the morning. These are examples of the leaky bucket, but if you want to have like a valuable leaky bucket, you want to think about like what's already close to the goal line and what are they dropping there. I'll give you an example of this, okay? So in another industry, just so you can wrap your head around it, I was talking to a guy named Mark, and he does this in HVAC. And one of the things that happens in HVACs is they go give the client a quote for a job, like that's an almost sale, and they don't take every sale, of course, right? Like, and there's different reasons. One of the biggest reasons they were off a little bit on price, or they didn't know they had financing terms. So one of the things they do is they come back and they say, like, by the way, 9 out of 10 HVAC companies don't do this, but he comes back and helps them say, like, he calls the people back and say, hey, like, we left you a quote. Do you have any feedback for us? Oh, it was too expensive. Well, if could we lower the price? Could we do payment plans? And if there's room to wiggle there, they'll go back, right? So there's an example of fixing a leaky bucket. Is normally they give a proposal, 20 to 50% of them say yes, but a whole bunch of people don't take it, and nobody follows up with the ones who didn't take it. Like, so usually almost always the answer is some kind of follow-up, some kind for like those missed opportunities. But you want to think about it like the fantasy football running back. What's really close to the goal line? Because that's where all the points are, right? Like, instead of, like, you think about this in the HVAC niche, and this is true in every niche. If you tell an HVAC person, like, they want more deals, they think automatically the solution is to get more new people into the funnel. But what happens to if you did 10 quotes and 5 of them didn't buy, what happens to those 5 people, right? Like, that's a easier, way closer to the goal line kind of sale than what's farther away. So the more I do this, the more I only want to work close to the goal line, if you will, and the less interested I am in, like, generating cold leads for businesses. I'm not saying there isn't merit to that and you guys can't do that, but I like an easier life and an easier agency. And the other thing is there's usually very little competition. Nobody's trying to call back the HVAC deals that didn't close and say, hey, what happened? Were we off on price? Oh, let me talk to my boss. See if I can lower it $1,000. If I can get it down 1,000, do we got a deal? Yes, we do. Okay, he says, talk to my boss. He says it's good. Okay. Like, I just want to close deals like that. So if you think about that, like, as I'm the goal line running back, you'll find all the leaky buckets. Having said that, there are leaky buckets along the way, but I wouldn't even worry about trying to plug leaky buckets that are at the 20-yard line, 80 yards away. I would only plug leaky buckets that are, within scoring distance kind of thing. Emmanuel says, happy Sunday, everyone. I want to improve my copywriting skills in order to write better ads, emails, letters. Do you have any suggestions where to start? Emmanuel, I think there's a book out there that I think is the best copywriting book ever written. It's a little bit hard to get your hands on. It's out of print. If you buy it on Amazon, it's super expensive. Wink, wink, if you message me, I may have a PDF, but I can neither confirm or deny those allegations. It is by Eugene Schwartz, and it is called Breakthrough Advertising. And that book in particular is one of those books where I read it, and every single time I read it, I still get new stuff out of it. It's such a good copywriting resource. The other thing is, the only way to get better at anything is to fucking do it. So, like, if you want to write, Cole's on the job. Did you hear my answer, buddy? Because I was just answering your question from earlier about the leaky buckets. You might have to catch the replay on that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. That awesome chant. Sorry, the copywriting, like anything else, it's a skill. You got to use it. You got to practice it. Like, I find too many copywriters, and I'm not saying this is you, but a lot of copywriters want to study and learn and practice. But at some point, you have to put copy in the world and see what happens and adjust. Because even the best copywriters in the world have to, like, calibrate based on what the market is showing them. But the other thing I would say is, and this is a tip from Jay Abraham, I have a video on our YouTube channel called The Unfair Sales Advantage. And this is a methodology I learned from Jay Abraham that I've expanded on, kind of thing. So I took the basic kind of principles. And what Jay said is he calls it the Amazon School of Copywriting. And before he writes a word of copy, he finds all the books on a subject and he looks at all the 5-star reviews that got upvoted and all the 1-star reviews. And he puts them in like a spreadsheet of the 1-star reviews are things they don't want and the 5-star reviews as things they do want. And he uses the basis of that to write copy. And he says, like, you do that, you'll write 9 out of 10 times, you'll write better copy than most of the actual copywriters out there because it's written by the market. That's a big secret of copywriting. That's actually a writer downer. It took me about 10 years to learn that. The best copy you will ever write is not written by you. Rather, it is you parroting back the market to your marketplace what they have already told you. So if you really understand that, your job is not to write copy, it is to parrot back what they've already, said and done and responded to. Sorry, my brother Cole, the show must go on. We're still working on the tag team championships, but you'll have to check out the replay because yours was the first question on deck about the you missed some fantasy football analogies. Kyle says, how do you guys get more web design clients? I mean, I haven't necessarily done web design in a while, but I've helped a lot of people get web design clients. I don't like particularly doing web design, so I haven't it's been a while since I took on any web design clients. Having said that, I get the same question phrased in various ways. How do I get web design clients? How do I get SEO clients? How do I get Facebook ad clients? How do I get TikTok clients? How do I get PPC clients for AdWords? And, so on. How do I get copy clients? And it's all the same kind of answer, which is all of those things are a hammer, meaning they're a tool. Nobody wakes up and says, I want a web design. I shouldn't say nobody, but it's rare. Most people aren't spinning in their grave thinking about web design. But what they do want is the result of what web design can produce. So I've used this story. I've probably beaten it to death, but it's a really good example of this. And I think it's the easiest way to get web design clients. There was a plastic surgeon when I used to do a lot of SEO, and he came to me and said, I want to get more mommy makeover patients. That's a writer downer, right? Because they all want something. They don't want the website. They want the website to do something for them in their business. In this case, he wanted mommy makeover patients. I call that the $100 bill. The reason why he wanted mommy makeover patients is those were his most expensive, most valuable, easiest to manage from a delivery perspective. So his highest end clients. So he said, I want to get more of my highest end clients. So then he said, hey, do you think if we made a website just for mommy makeovers, I know I have this main website over here, but if we made a new website just for mommy makeovers, do you think if people came onto that website, they would call for that kind of thing? I said, probably. And he said, do you think we could rank it in Google for mommy makeover? In those days, it was easier to rank above the GMBs, but I said, yeah, of course. I checked out the searches and all that, and I was like, yeah, we can definitely do that. And then he was like, okay, let's do it. So we built it and we ranked it and he got some mommy makeover people and he was super stoked about the whole thing. But I always remember when I would then tell other surgeons about what kind of services we offered, I would tell them about the mommy makeover site and they always I want that too. I want a mommy makeover. Oh, can you do one for rhinoplasty? Or can you do one for facelifts? And they would have their highest end thing, whatever that was for them. They wanted to sell more of it. And so the answer to the question is you have to understand what you're really selling, which is not websites. You're selling a tool that helps them do what they want. So you need to have a niche of people and you need to know what outcome those niche of people are after. If you have those two things, if you understand I got a niche, in my case it was plastic surgeons back in those days, and you have an outcome they want, which is mommy makeover patients or facelifts or whatever, then I would just say, I got a way for you to get mommy makeover patients. And all we're going to do is build this new website and put it in the flow of the Google. And they would say, all right, give me one. And that was it. It was actually kind of mind-blowing for me in those days because we didn't have to do any proposals whenever we sold that package. And the other thing is that there's a magic on that, what I call an add-on offer, because if you try and convince them to change their existing website to yours, that's a bigger challenge because you have to convince them that their old website sucks. But if you build them an add-on site, there's nothing to replace. And so it's an easier sale. So I would focus on just helping them add on little $100 bill websites. So you got to pick a niche of people and you got to figure out what they're trying to do. But if you have those two things, just I build websites to help as an add-on to help you sell your thing. So if you go into online coaching, they probably want to sell more of their $40,000 mastermind. So build them a website to sell their $40,000 mastermind. Say, hey, I got a way for you to sell $40,000 mastermind. Because it's the selling of the $40,000 masterminds that they're after, not the website. The website's just a tool to achieve that outcome. If I'm going after dentists, they want veneers, they want implants. So I'm going to create a veneers or an implants website and help them sell their expensive thing. So it doesn't matter what niche you go after, help them sell their most expensive thing. And what you'll find is then all of a sudden selling web design gets easy because they already want to sell their most expensive thing. A coach already wants to sell his $40,000 thing. A dentist already wants to sell more implant patients. A plastic surgeon already wants more mommy makeovers. You don't have to convince them that's true. The more you can make your website, your tool align with what outcome they want. So that's my way of saying you got to really understand what you're really selling, and it's not web design. And if you say to people, do you want to buy web design? They'll tell you no, because it's not what they're really buying. But if you say, I got a way to get you mommy makeover patients, which is a high value outcome, that's what you're really building, and if you sell that, you'll make your life a whole bunch easier. And the same is true for those of you guys who got SEO, AdWords. Nobody wants TikTok ads. I know that it's popular right now, but they want TikTok ads to produce an outcome. And the better you can produce an outcome, the longer they're going to pay you to do that. And the easiest way I found to do that is to help them sell their most expensive thing. Jake says, what are some advantages and disadvantages of the three types of businesses when it comes to marketing for them? E-commerce, localized, expertise. I'm just going to share a little bit of every business has pros and cons. So I don't want to say this business is better than that one. It just depends on what aligns with you personally, what you like to do in your goals. I will tell you though that there's some really things that jumped out for me. E-commerce, one of the pros of that is that there is a shit ton of volume. It's very easy to build $1 million e-commerce business, as where a services or an expertise business or a local business, it still can be done. It's just harder than e-commerce because if you sell, I've had friends that went on AliExpress, found a product and could sell $5,000 a day within 2 days of that product. But the downside of that industry is that most of those businesses have very low margins. So even though they're selling $1 million or $10 million or $100 million, they might be keeping 1 to 5% of that. And so the opportunity in that niche, because they have such low margins, is all back end, in my opinion, is that you can bring in ways for them to upsell clients, add values, cross-sell other products. Hey, you bought one green widget. Do you want 3 green widgets? Abandoned cart sequences, stuff like that. It's helping them build their average customer value. Because what most of them think is they need cheaper ads on the front end, but what they actually need is more margin on the back end so that they can go spend on the ads in the first place. So that's my experience with e-commerce. Local businesses, the cool thing about local businesses, maybe actually we should come back to that. I'll give you the worst part of local businesses for. They universally suck at the phone, really badly, to the point where you're like, you got to be fucking kidding me. You have people calling you and you don't answer the phone. You can't answer basic questions. You don't call people back. Somebody called you. They've been asking you for 3 weeks to come show them stuff. You still haven't shown them. You're like really low hanging fruit. But the flip side of that is local businesses, the positive is they need your help more than anything I've ever seen. And even the ones who understand what we do, marketing, and have big budgets and spend on it, they don't have the time to implement it. I see this where the top lawyers all the time know how to do marketing. They're the top lawyers for a reason. They're not top lawyers because they're great at law. It's because they're great at running the business side of it and attracting clients and those kind of things. But they don't have time to do it all, so they still need help, right? So they need your help in abundance, and there's just endless opportunity in the local niches. And then the third one, the expertise businesses. The coolest thing about expertise business is they have the highest margins of any business. Somebody sells a $40,000 coaching package. Often, there might be a little bit of delivery costs, some admin, some software and tools, but for the most part, they're not shelling out huge. But the flip side of that is there's a lot of people who call themselves experts who are not, and so there's way more bullshit and pretenders and like broke people in our space and beginners and people who don't really have real businesses more than other spaces. Because like I see this in the agency space. There's a lot of great agency owners, but it's also like the flip side of that is like it's a very easy business to start, right? Like you need a laptop, you can put your own website up if you want. You don't even need to, but you can get clients like within days of starting. And so it's a low barrier to entry. And so for that reason, there's a lot of people who do it that are, in my opinion, kind of unqualified. I'm not saying you guys are part of that, but I mean, like, I see this with life coaches. There's like a lot of shitty ass life coaches. Like, no offense. If you're 19 years old and you're a fucking life coach, go get some more life before you start coaching people. So you see people like that where they have no basis to be an expert, and yet and so it's easy to get caught up in working with those people. So you just have to filter harder in that business to find out who the real players are, who are really adding value and really like moving markets. But it is my favorite space actually to work in, is the coaching, the consulting, the experts, because like I said, the margins are great, and you also get to see the real transformation that you bring to people, which to me is really cool. Like I've experienced this when I first started the Wolfpack Mastermind, for example. Like it was obviously I have, there's a mixture of benevolent reasons and selfish reasons, like we all have. And in the beginning, there were probably more selfish reasons than benevolent. But as it's grown and I see the transformation of people, like Dave was just posting the other day in the group that like he doesn't take on clients now that are less than 100,000 a year. And when he came to me, he was like struggling with clients who were paying him $500 a month and tearing his hair out. And now, 3 clients pay him more than, what like 100 clients would have paid him back in the day, right? So like I see stuff like that and what that does for somebody's family and life and situation. So like the longer I do this, the more I'd love seeing those transformations. So that space has a lot of transformation. But those are the biggest 3 things. The thing I would say is align yourself with like what resonates with you. So if you like to buy physical stuff online and that interests you, like go into e-commerce and narrow down a little bit. If you like just brick and mortar and old school, go help local businesses. If you like, selling expertise and intangible products, help people do that. But overall, like there's no one right niche for everybody. That I kind of wrote that in my book. Everybody wants like, what's the magic niche? And the truth is, like, any niche can be good. If there's a niche at all, somebody's paying money in there. Like there's cash flow happening and transactions and commerce, and there's almost always a spectrum, and you can be anywhere on that spectrum you want to be. So I say like do what works for you, and then adapt within the industry. And I usually aim for what most people do, by the way, is without even realizing it, they aim for the bottom part of every market. One thing I've taught a lot of people to do is aim for the top part of the market. There's almost no competition at the top, and there's way more money This is true in every niche. There's a broke lawyer and there's $100 million lawyer. There's a broke roofer. There's $100 million roofer. There's a broke coach. There's $100 million coach. All things being equal, go for the $100 million coach. Biggest reason people don't is they think, oh, I'm not ready, and I'll wait. I'll work with a bunch of struggling people. But if you align your business with other struggling businesses, guess what's going to happen to you? If you align yourself with like $100 million businesses and people who are successful and changing lives, guess what's going to happen to you? And those $100 million businesses still need your help. Anybody, by the way, who's ever worked for a big corporation, did they ever seem like they had all their shit figured out? Or did they seem like, it was a shit show? And the truth is, it's a fucking shit show, right? And of course, big companies are no different. So like, go after the bigger companies because they actually need your help more. So like get rid of this idea of like, I'm not ready, and you'll kick ass. Arsum says, Frankie Fihn, what methods would you use to transform a commodity offer into a scarcity offer? Like if a client offers lawn care service, how can we charge more by not being a commodity? I'll give you, this is not by any means, Arsum, a complete list, but I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can decommoditize something very easily, by the way. Okay? Thing number 1 is simply change who it is for. I know this sounds like almost too fucking easy, but you would be amazed. I've helped people take a $500 a month service and turn it into a $10,000 a month service and get $10,000 a month for it. And we simply changed who it was for. So like if I'm doing lawn care, as you mentioned, okay, if I do like, I'll cut your grass, that's a $20 to like maybe $50 service depending on the lawn. But if I think I am going to aim for a bigger who, like a who might be like, I'm going to go to the rich country club kind of neighborhood, Then it might be my offer changes to, I'll take care of your lawn, your plants, and manicure the whole thing, and I'll do everything and make your yard look green and better than your neighbors for $1,000 a month. Right? Same service. I'm basically cutting your grass with a little pieces attitude. But what we've changed is who we're doing it for. So that there's always a spectrum within every niche. And like I said, if you aim for the top, so that's the first thing. Like if you want to decommoditize yourself, just look to who you're doing it for. You would be amazed. Go from life coaching to, I don't know, we do it for print media companies, and you'd be amazed. Like I saw this the other day. So Onyx Singal, who's a relatively well-known internet marketer, had a post where he said something to the effect of, hey, I'm looking for a graphic designer that knows how to make New York Times best-selling covers. What I thought was interesting is because I got my book cover. For those of you guys who haven't read the old book here, let me just shamelessly plug a copy of this guy. I actually had a guy on Fiverr design this. It was a cool guy. You know, I pick my own look. You know, some of you guys hate it, but I love it. I'm happy with it. $10. And the reason why he got $10 for it, by the way, is because he's selling the hammer as a hammer. Saying, I'll do graphic design. I'll make covers. Come to me. I'm the Fiverr guy. And that's what happens when you sell your hammer as a hammer, okay? If you're saying, I make New York Times best-selling covers for best-selling authors, you're going to charge 10 grand for that, at least, I would say, and get it. But the only difference between those two things is who you're doing it for. If you just say, I'm a come one all graphic design shop, you're going to be priced at the bottom. If you say, I do it for a very high-end kind of person. So I see this. I have friends who do like energy healings and kind of like more woo-woo kind of things. And most of the guys who sell woo-woo stuff, they are lucky to get like a $10 donation at the end of a session. That's like a real thing. A lot of these guys struggle with money. I have a couple of friends who charge between $40,000 and $100,000. I got a couple of different friends in the energy healing space. And the only reason they're able to get that is for who they do it for. We do energy healing for CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. We do energy healing for doctors. We do energy healing for best-selling authors. You know, those kind of things. They do it for very, very high-end people. And so way number one is change who you're doing it for. Way number two is what you can eliminate, especially in terms of what you can eliminate in the prospect. So I'm going to give you two examples of this. One that comes to mind is my own shit, right? Like we figured out how to eliminate phone calls. A big reason people come to us is they're like, man, I'm sick of this booked appointment gauntlet of bullshit of like chasing deals all the time. And then I'm on the phone and I have no time to deliver my shit. And it's exhausting. And like, I talk to fucking 10 people and 2 of them buy and it's fucking work and I'm chasing and proposals. I have no time to run an agency. So when we say you can close without phone calls, we're taking a piece out. Another example of this, okay? The $1 a day shave club or Amazon. Why do people shop at them? Well, because it comes to you. So what have they taken out? They have taken out the trip to the store and back. They say, we'll just have it come to you, right? So the next thing I look at is what can I take out that would actually make it more valuable? And then the third one, which is going to sound a little bit counterintuitive, but the third thing I'll do to decommoditize something is I'll say, what can I combine and add in that is complementary to this to make it more valuable? So I'm doing a couple of back-end deals right now. And almost always if somebody has a core service, so 2 of the ones we've helped people do are virtual assistant placements. And they can buy a virtual assistant whenever they want, but we created a special offer that had like 4 bonus courses that did different things. One was like a LinkedIn branding thing for, you know, the guy built a $3 million LinkedIn brand. He shows exactly how he did it. Stuff like that, right? We found selling virtual assistants has one price, but if you can package in, especially like things that are easy to deliver, like info products, you can like all of a sudden make an everyday plain Jane service more valuable. But those are the 3 biggest things I look for. And I'm not saying there's probably like, I've read Dan Kennedy's stuff and I think he had 21 of them, but those are my 3 go-tos is I look for, can I change who I do it for? Can I reposition it for a higher person in the market? Then I go like, can I take something out that the prospect doesn't want to do? And then can I add in complementary pieces? If you do that, you can take the most boring plain Jane offer and do it. And I'll give you an example of this, okay? So, I know a guy who does this for real estate agents, okay? And real estate agents, if you know anything about the niche, they do a lot of open houses. They show a house. People walk through. They hate them, by the way, because they spend 3 hours standing at a house waiting for people. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't. They don't usually actually make a lot of sales from open houses. Those are usually just people like kind of window shopping for later, and so they have to work those leads and things like that. And one of the things they figured out is they didn't want to do these, like, I don't know, come just stand at the house, and they like the more scheduled, like, I'm going to show your house kind of things. So they were offering the same thing as every other real estate agent. I'll show your house. So they did two basic things, by the way, which is an example of what I'm talking about. They said, well, this is a plain Jane offer they can get anywhere. So they said, why don't we specialize in a higher end kind of house? And they repositioned themselves as we do your waterfront homes. And then as part of the waterfront home, they did if you schedule with us, you get a $20 Starbucks gift card, right? They combined complimentary things. Come to a showing and we'll give you a gift card, whether you buy the house or not. A lot of people, like, that's enough to take them off the fence. Like, all right, I'll go check it out and get the gift card. Even though they could buy, most of the people buying waterfront homes could buy Starbucks alone. It's just kind of cool to have a gift card, right? So, like, there's an example. You reposition the who for the waterfront, the high-end stuff, and you throw in a gift card, and suddenly you're in a category of one. You're the only one who sells waterfront stuff, and you come with me and you get a Starbucks gift card. So, like, it doesn't have to be, like, mind-blowing shit, but that's my kind of, like, go-to strategy for how I get the fuck out of everyone's commodity box. Carissa says, how do you tell a client that you're choosing not to renew their contract? Carissa, it's, to be honest, I don't have to do a ton of this these days because we do first date, coffee date, first date, marriage. And usually in the coffee date stage, they will reveal themselves as kind of like not a good fit to be married to. So if you screen more people out in the first date phase, you won't have to fire nearly as many clients. But it does happen every now and then. And I always follow the George Costanza script, his breakup script. All those of you Seinfeld fans, George says, it's not you, it's me. And so I do the, hey, I'm really, really sorry. Like, I love you. And the best thing to do is to be upfront about it and give them time to find a replacement or recommend them somebody. But you just do the, hey, it's not you, it's me. We're going a different direction. We're doing different stuff. I don't see this as a fit, but it's not because of anything you've done. It's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's me. And then, because you always want to be kind, because people in the industry talk, and if you let people down gently, you preserve your reputation and things like that. Arsom says, can you mention the Dan Kennedy resource for the 21 things? I believe it was inside of his paid magnetic marketing course, which I believe is like $300 or $400. I don't know. I bought it like 10, 15 years ago, so it's been a while since I looked at it. But he has those 21 things somewhere in there, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm telling you, like, you don't necessarily need to do them all. If you just do those 3, you'll get out of the box like 99 times out of 100. Just aim for a bigger who, and then focus on like what you can take out that's valuable to the customer, and then focus on what you can bring that's complementary. And all of a sudden you'll have a whole new offer that's like new and exciting that nobody else has. It's not actually that hard to do. I do this like with my back end deals. It's really, really easy because I just find people that have something they sell every day, and then I go, what can we package with it, and how can we reposition it for a different new? And how about if we take out this piece, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, all right, it's amazing, right? So like, hey, we'll take out the training period. We'll just train your virtual assistant for you. And we'll also like throw in these bonus packages, and now it's suddenly a different thing. And so that's what you want to think about. Alex says, hey guys, what invoicing software do you guys recommend for subscription invoices? I currently use Wave, but clients have the option to hit manual payments. I want to only be able to send a subscription invoice as that I'd want what we agreed during the onboarding. A little bit lost in the language there, Alex. But, invoicing software. So this is my thing, okay? My take on this is don't invoice. I know that's probably not the answer you're looking for. I know you were looking for, like, use this tool. I'll tell you how we do it. I'm not saying this is the only way, but we use Stripe plus Zoho payments. And so it sets it up that, like, it's recurring and automated, and it's Stripe can do this alone, but I find like Zoho makes like an easier interface and those kind of things, and it just it makes it easier for payment plans and ongoing things. It's not the only way to do it, but I find it just works really well for us. Having said that, don't chase motherfuckers for payments. I remember actually my first agency, my man Dan Crystal and I, we were kind of like a little mastermind of two people, and we used to talk. And he had an SEO agency. He was like 14 years old. People were paying him $2,000 a month to do SEO in 2007, which blew my mind. And I had my SEO agency, and I was getting clients, and he was charging twice as much as me. I was like at $1,000 on the top end. And I remember one thing that was very different about our agency is I had zero invoicing, all automated recurring payments, even back then. And I never ever chased a surgeon for money, ever. Ever. It never happened. And Dan used to always say to me, like we would talk like, I don't know, every couple of weeks, and he used to always say to me, this guy hasn't paid me yet, and I've sent him the invoice, and what do I do? Do I keep delivering the service? I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's disappearing. He hasn't responded. What should I do in this situation? And my answer is, don't. Don't fucking invoice people. Just tell them, like, putting you on this automated recurring thing. We manage all our payments automated. Is that a problem for you? If they say it is, that should probably set off some red flags. Why is that an issue for you? And most likely, they may just have some accounting system it needs to work through. But otherwise, like, recurring. And if you're going to do invoices, in those rare cases you're going to do invoices, use something on Stripe, like set it up as a product where they can save their credit card details. So when they pay it, they just have to click once. Like you want to make it easy for people to give you money. But my advice is like stay away from fucking invoicing people. Like don't become a bank. Don't become an accounts receivable. Set your shit up to be automated. And if clients have a problem with that, like just don't take them on as clients. Most of the people who have a problem with that have a problem because they already know they're not good at paying invoices, right? So for the most part, people are just like, yeah, whatever. They'll just do it. Carlos, fish taco time is very, very near and upon us. I hope your son comes with you this time because that would be super cool, and your wife too. We'll see. I know you guys are doing the awesome little tag team. For those of you guys who missed the intro, by the way, I think that's it. Unless any of you guys got any other questions you want to throw in now. The quick announcements. I meant to post this earlier. I'm doing a training. I have to re-record it because I screwed it up. But we're going to show how we're getting 10-cent buyer leads on the old YouTube. This methodology works beyond YouTube. I'm just happen to be using it for YouTube. But to be honest, I screwed up saving the video or something and accidentally posted the wrong video. I posted it yesterday and then realized a couple hours later, oops, that's the wrong video, so I had to delete it. But I'll get that to you guys like in a little bit, and it's a really, really cool thing. It's a little preview and in many ways of what's inside the Wolfpack Mastermind of like different ways of approaching getting clients than what everybody else is doing. Because like in some niches, like, and I call this the front door and the side door. In some niches like mine, like personal injury and a lot of things, like bidding on traffic is just really expensive, right? Like it's really costly to get in front of lawyers normally. But if you understand like indirect ways to advertise to them based on other things they buy together with your thing, then what happens is you can find all kinds of cheap traffic. So I'll post that most likely tomorrow. Check that out when you guys get a second. And it should be awesome. I think it's awesome, but I'm obviously clearly biased on the subject. But that's all I got for you guys this week. Much love to you guys. Hope you guys are having an awesome Monday, and may the force be with you.